Hello everyone, I'm Daniela. This is episode 19 of Historical Paranormal. In this week's episode, we'll explore several legends and accounts of phantom vehicles. Phantom vehicles have said to haunt humanity since there was transportation. A haunted vehicle is a vehicle with no apparent driver. It could be a bus, car, plane, train, subway, boat, ship, or etc. One of the most famous phantom vehicles is the Black Volga. This car was sighted in former Soviet Union, as well as Belarus, the Ukraine, Poland, and Mongolia. The height of the sightings took place in the 60s and 70s, and it's described as a luxury vehicle that is jet black, has white rims, tinted windows, curtains, and horns on its rearview mirrors. It is completely spotless, has the ability to accelerate faster than a normal car, and is known to appear out of nowhere. Those who have been unfortunate enough to sight it have said that it has abducted people, especially children. Anyone who's interfered with the car is said to either have dropped dead on the spot or met a fatal end within 24 hours of their encounter. One story of the Black Volga took place in the Ukraine in the 1960s. The car pulled up to two young girls and the door suddenly opened. The two girls were sucked into the car as if it were a vacuum cleaner. One middle-aged man witnessed the incident and rushed to the girls' aid and attempted to pry the passenger doors open. After much effort, the door opened, but to his dismay, there was no driver or passenger in the front seat. Before he could further investigate, a bright light emanated from the entire car, blinding him. He woke 24 hours later with a terrible headache. Contemporary sightings of this vehicle describe it as resembling a BMW or Mercedes-Benz. Like the versions of old, it is said to have horns in place of the rearview mirror, and some have said to see a mysterious man driving the car that approaches people to ask them what time it is, only to kidnap them, or they die shortly after their encounter with him. In the United Kingdom, there is also stories of a phantom car. Throughout the 1920s, there were reports of a motor car that went faster than anything on the market at that time. On January 22nd of 1927, in an edition of WMN, witnesses in the locality state that on many occasions about midnight, a mysterious vehicle somewhat like a high-powered motor car, ablaze with light dashes noisily through the roads. There is apparently no driver, but seated in the car are a number of white-robed figures, walls, ditches, fields, and plantations. Present no obstacle to the car. The superstitiously inclined connect the visitation with a tragic occurrence in a neighboring estate when during the recent troubles, a landlord and his wife were driving from their homes and died of fright. Local inhabitants are afraid to leave their homes after nightfall. In the 1950s in Kent County, which is in southeast England, there was a car like the other phantom vehicles. It was black and an older model, yet its abilities were like that of a newer or advanced model. No driver was ever sighted in most cases. However, some did notice in place of where the driver should have been, there was this odd fog in a wraith. One report from October of 1950 spoke of such an account. Driving through Hildenborough at 7 a.m. on Sunday, a motorist observed another car parked by the roadside in a deserted spot. He saw the shadow of a man outlined against the mist in the driving seat. He got out of his own car and shook the other car violently, but the huddled figure did not move. Tonbridge police were told, but on investigation they could not find a car on that particular stretch of road, and now take the very material view that the silent driver was waiting for the mist to rise before proceeding. Another place that a phantom car has been sighted is in Australia, near the town of Kanaya. In 2012, 3 MotoGP race car drivers were leaving an event from Phillip Island to Victoria back to Adelaide. It was about a 560-mile stretch they would have to drive, so they took turns, allowing the others to rest. As one slept in the back, the other two were wide awake in the front, and around 4:30 a.m. between the towns of Nihil and Kaniva, one witness explained, "I'd only seen a handful of cars between Horsham and Nihil, so I was surprised when I saw a car way off in the distance behind us. It was catching up too. I was surprised at the speed this car was catching up. I was already going over the speed limit by 30 kilometers. I estimated it going probably 160 kilometers. Nathan suggested it it might be the police, so I dropped back to 100 kilometers. Kinda futile, I know, but at least we'd know if it was a copper. The car followed them, riding their bumper, and when they rolled down their windows, despite doing near 80 miles per hour, they heard no noise. He went on to describe, back at 130 kilometers, and the car is still behind us, matching our speed, still inches away from our back bumper. Both me and Nathan were freaking out a bit now. Why wouldn't the car pass us? Why was he driving so close? We were approaching Geneva by the stage. There's a big streetlight right on the edge of the town, and then streetlights all through the main street. Finally, we'd be able to identify the car. We passed through the streetlights and looked behind us. The car had stopped following right before the streetlight. It had simply stopped in the middle of the road. We still couldn't work out what kind of car it was, but we didn't want to turn around and find out. Like cars being driven by phantom, there is a phantom train that is said to have haunted Sweden. In Stockholm, Sweden, a ghost train stops at random stations at random intervals. The inside of the train is described as being completely empty. Other times, there's a ghastly passenger. After boarding the Silver Pillen, they might end up in Kai Melinge, the subway station of the dead, which is a real abandoned subway station, or the person is never seen or heard from again, or they emerge back into the world weeks or even years later. Legend was based on a real train that was an experimental vehicle put together but is no longer in service. However, some still claim it haunts train stations in the area. Another phantom vehicle is the Pipo ghost plane. During World War II in northern Italy, no one knew which side the plane was on or who piloted it. It was known for firing machine guns. Its engines made pip-pip sounds. People in the area believed if they did not shut off their lights or evacuate, it would shoot at their homes or farms mercilessly. Some explanations for what causes these phantom vehicle sightings are that the drivers of the phantom vehicles are members harvesting organs for the black market, and some believe that abducted victims were being taken for their organs to cure diseases for the rich. Others believe that Satan himself or some other malevolent presence is the driver of such vehicles, while others believe it's secret budget government organizations such as Men in Black on missions related to UFOs and extraterrestrials, due to how expensive the vehicles look and the similarities to stories of the Men in Black. Others believe it's some form of a secret society, a shadow group that's bent on creating social unrest with these incidents. Others might say it's technology that we're not aware of. In the case of Pippo, the ghost plane, some say it was probably a British reconnaissance plane of the de Havilland Mosquito type. The plane model had a distinctive engine sound similar to Pippo that flew all over the countryside at night. Whether or not people were misclassifying actual technology that they may not have known of, it's a secret society, or a phantom, stories of this nature will continue to be a mystery. I hope that you enjoyed episode 19 of Historical Paranormal, and if you would like to check out previous episodes, you can check out the Historical Paranormal playlist or read about it on the Historical Paranormal website. Thank you for listening, and stay tuned for next Sunday's episode.